What is up, everybody? Welcome once again to my YouTube channel, and today let's continue with some more F1 2019 career mode. As you guys can see, we are getting ready for the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. We got three upgrades to our car. We have a new update in the goals from Emma. We have to finish a race in 14th or above to get those extra points. And as you guys saw the forecast, it's going to be raining later on the session, so that's going to spice things up for sure. In terms of the upgrades, all three upgrades went through, which is great. Unfortunately, not all of them were in terms of performance. One of them was reliability, and we did get a jump, but look at Toro Rosso, big jump for them as they jump past Alfa Romeo and I believe Renault as well in the performance. So moving to the practice sessions, guys can see we got purple in every single thing. Once again, we are finally starting to hit our targets, and I expect now to have better performances on the tracks from now on, because I don't usually I'm on the commentating box, but I do have a league that I'm racing on, only one of it, and I joined mid-season. My debut was at the Canadian Grand Prix, so I do put a lot of practice into those tracks, so I expect myself to, in terms of the driving, I expect myself to perform better. So we are confident on our capabilities, we are comfortable in the car as well, because of course we have those setups to work with, and we are going to hopefully have some fun with this. So we are going to be able to push, we are going to be able to battle for some meaningful positions. But first we have the qualifying to do for the Canadian Grand Prix. Getting ourselves with our lap as we have the countdown just below 1 minute to the end of the qualifying session, and we are getting ourselves now through the turns 4 and 5 chicane, a bit wide on the approach to turn 4, so unfortunately that might cost us 1/10, but now into this corner we really bottled it. we really bottled it. I have to go down to second gear as well. So that cost us quite a bit of time. Nonetheless, we try to do our best as we get to turns 8 and 9, I believe that is, and now we get on the run into the hairpin of turn number 10. Hard on the brakes, down to second or first gear. I actually do end up going down to first gear. We get away smoothly from the corner as well. Mode 4 of VRS. Mode 4 of the fuel deployment as well. DRS wide open, and now it's just full commitment. How late can we brake for the chicane? We get ourselves through the curbs. I did a good job through them, I believe. Nonetheless, we're going to get ourselves through the line, and unfortunately we won't be able to proceed. P20 for us, so we kinda bottled that one. I think we should have done better. I was confident I could be able to do a lap and move on, but yeah, that wasn't the case. Last place for us, Lando, Norris, Nico Hülkenberg, George Russell and Alexander Albon were knocked out with me. So with that, let's move over to the start of the Canadian Grand Prix. Let's see how it goes.
We're back once again beside the St. Lawrence River here in Montreal for the Canadian Grand Prix. The event first moved to a variant of this track back in 1978. It was won by none other than Gilles Villeneuve, the first Canadian to ever win his home race, and in whose honour the circuit would be renamed. With top speeds of around 210 miles per hour heading into the overtaking opportunity of turn 13, the 2.7 miles of the circuit Gilles Villeneuve are some of the quickest on the Formula One calendar. There are 14 corners in total, with 60% of the lap taken at full throttle, and average lap speeds clock in at about 130 miles per hour. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. So there's no avoiding it. Let's start by discussing Devon Butler. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be. It's about effective damage limitation.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Bottas, Leclerc, Max Verstappen, and Gasly, Weber, Perez, Magnussen, and Kimi Raikkonen, Ricciardo, Grosjean, Lance Stroll, and Sainz, Albon, Russell, Nico Hülkenberg, and Lando Norris. The rookie and Devon Butler starts from the back of the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Head down to the track we do as we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Canadian Grand Prix. We have a good reaction time, but the launch itself was kinda crap. Hülkenberg having a very good start. Norris dropping out a little bit. I managed to get his inside. I corner cut a little bit there. Didn't get a warning though. Just trying to avoid any contacts that I can avoid. So Russell gets a little bit slow out of turn 2, and we get very close to him. Fortunately, no contact. So we're going to finish our first sector moving past Norris, which is great. Russell goes early on the brakes. Hülkenberg and Albon are having a bit of a battle with each other as they try to get each other up to 16th place. They are still side by side as they get to the chicane of turns 8 and 9. Once again, they go early on the brakes. I am forced to go wide just to avoid the rear of Russell and or Albon. So we lost a couple cars lengths to the Toro Rosso. Nonetheless, we did get past Russell. As guys can see, we are currently on the mediums. I was actually thinking about medium, and then going to the wets, or trying to hope that mediums then takes me to the intermediates. But later on we are going to get a message, and I was able to adapt the strategy a little bit. So we are going to end up the first lap in P17, gained 2 positions. I don't think it's too bad at all. It took us to lap 4 though before we started making any moves, and this is all because of this battle that started developing between Norris, I believe this is, and I believe it is Lance Stroll. Yes, exactly, that is Lance Stroll, and that is the Spaniard, not the British. It is Carlos Sainz in the 55, getting himself alongside homeboy Lance Stroll as they get up through the slight hill into turn number 3 and 4. And they still go side by side. They are still no contact whatsoever, so clean racing. But these guys just shows their tenacity. They are not letting each other by that easily. Nonetheless, the McLaren does get inside, coming out of turn number 7, and it gets moved on. He also gets the arrest. The Renault also gets the arrest, but Lance Stroll with a bit of blocking. Oh, and look at that! He was caught napping by Albon, and Albon sticks his nose in there, and that allowed us to catch up with the pair of them, as we are going to try to take something out of all this, as they are going side by side. They are going to compromise their exit of the hairpin. I can take a slightly straightened out approach of the exit, so maybe just have a more angular approach to that hairpin, and we do get a better exit. The Renault does get the slipstream off of Albon, that we are going to brake hard, and look at that, Stroll and Sainz, they slow so much that we actually go into the back of Albon. We have a huge snap of oversteer that way. Fortunately, we're able to control. Fortunately, no damage to our front wing, and unfortunately for us, we aren't going to be able to just throw ourselves down the inside of turn 1. Nonetheless, we did get past Albon and past the German of the Renault, so that's 2 positions done, and yeah, that shows that we have the pace. We are climbing. I did in fact move the AI up to 103 after the Monaco performance, because I wasn't sure how much that was to my driving or just the AI not being good at Monaco. So yeah, it's also Monaco, so it was hard to overtake. So once I got a good lap in, it was hard for them to do anything, but yeah, it is. I upped it just to be safe, so I didn't have a boring race here at the St. Lawrence River, and we got through Sainz at lap number 7, I believe that was, and now in lap 8 we are catching up to Albon and Stroll.
Rain is forecast in just over 10 minutes.
So as you just listened, we are going to get rain in 10 minutes according to Jeff. Of course, it's never really in 10 minutes, but it is what it is. It's going to be soon at the very least. We are going to have rain as we're going to get a major exit out of the last chicane, and we outbrake ourselves a little bit. Nothing too big though. We managed to keep the car on track and we move up to a P14. Now it's coming to be to hunting down a Lance Stroll. Of course, I don't really want to just waste my resources trying to hunt down and overtake the Canadian. Once I overtake him, I want to make sure I am able to pull away. So Albon, I'm trying to get on low ERS, but I have to bring it up a bit. I have to use the slipstream and the DRS to keep myself away from Albon. Stroll does have a Mercedes power unit at the back of that racing point, so it's going to be a bit tougher to overtake than the McLaren or the racing, not the racing point, the McLaren or the Toro Rosso, just by the fact that he has a more capable car. So let's see how it goes as we get out of the airpin of turn 10. Once again, the exit was smooth. We are going to get up through the gears. DRS and slipstream is going to be on our favor. Stroll did get better acceleration. I imagine he has higher fuel mix and or ERS deployment modes to help him get away from me. We are going to go mode 0 of ERS, in fact, as most drivers are on the pits at this point. Even our teammate gets in, and as we get through turn number 2, there you have it. Bottas gets out of the pits ahead of Lance Stroll, and Sebastian Vettel is right behind us. So I'm in a bit of a stalemate, just like at Spain, where I'm not sure if when I should let the driver to. Of course, I'm not getting lapped, but it's a Ferrari. It's going to get much better lap times than me, especially on fresh tires. We do lose the rear there, as the tires are starting to lose a little bit of their effectiveness. So that essentially made the decision for me, as we just got a worse exit and then we lift off. And we knew that Vettel would eventually battle the Canadian. So they do into turn 10, and I'm going to take advantage of that to get closer to the racing point once again, and let's see which of them has the RS. Oh, it looks like it is the Ferrari. The Ferrari gets the RS, not the racing point. It's going to make things even easier for us. Of course, he's going to get the slipstream from the Ferrari, which helps him a little bit. He actually goes straight on to the pit lane. Is going to get rid of his soft tires. Nonetheless, we start lap number 11 on the in 8th position, because of course a lot of drivers, not even 8th but 7th, because you can see Verstappen overtook us in the meantime. And this is lap 12. Our tires are starting to go. I had to do a little bit of counter steer there of turn number 5. And now into turn number 6 and 7, I believe this combination is. I have a major tank slapper. I managed to catch it. Yeah, it just... I let Leclerc to just not get too pressurized by him. But yeah, our tires are absolutely gone at this point. And we are going to the pits.
I think we may see some rain. ETA is about 15 minutes. Dries seem like the best tyre for now.
Well, obviously, the dries are the best tire for now, but I wanted to know how long we have until the rain, because I would like to know, do I have time to go on the softs? Will they deteriorate too quickly and then I'll have to pit again, or will I be able to take them to the rain? I decided to take the gamble and go on the faster, or at least grippier, red marked compound, as we are going to get out of the pits and we are going to rejoin right in 17th. We could have gotten ahead of some cars, but we go on the grass there. It was the first time of me getting out of that pit lane without the racing line in racing environment, so it is what it is. We outbreak ourselves a little bit. We dropped down to P17. We could have gotten ahead of Hülkenberg and perhaps even Sainz. So Hülkenberg as a compound of tire that is matching the color of his cars, is on the mediums, and then it is Sainz ahead of him. Norris has found some issues and is actually down in P20, as we have Butler and then our teammate right behind us. And then on the minimap, if you look, there's the orange dot of Lando Norris in last place. So very unfortunate day for the McLarens, as both of them are way out of the top 10. So we are going to get a better exit than Hülkenberg. He has lost time to Sainz, as Sainz has had faster lap times due to his brand new softs. So we pulled away from Hülkenberg, he doesn't get to DRS, doesn't get to slipstream, and we just get an easy maneuver done. We are going to catch up to Sainz right away as well, as we do the purple last sector, which is great. And just like that, we are right on the back of the Spaniard, which is great.
The rain is a few laps out yet, but it is coming. Be careful.
Okay, so the rain is coming anytime now. The skies are still clear. I mean, not clear, but nothing too menacing at this point. So we have to wait until lap number 16 to get the run on Carlos Sainz, and even before the braking zone, we get the move done. Of course, that Renault power unit isn't as powerful as the Mercedes one in the back of my Williams, so I am able to get the move done a bit easier. And also riding on the back of Sainz, saving some of our resources, also had the benefit that we did faster laps than Stroll and Albon, I believe that is, especially as those two are coming to blows into turn 1. They are getting to swap positions with DRS, but not quickly enough that they don't have to go side by side into some corners. So getting to lap 18, and as you guys can see, those two slow down immensely. I have to take evasive action, I had to go on that curb and on the grass, potentially losing the rear, just to avoid the back of Stroll's racing point. So those two are getting pretty feisty. Unfortunately, we weren't able to take the positions right away, but it is indeed going to allow us to put some pressure on them. Sainz has also caught up to us, so Sainz is also on the soft, so he's going to have similar pace.
We don't think it's going to stay dry for much longer. The rain could come at any moment. Watch out. Dry seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
The rain can come at any moment. The skies have darkened indeed through the last 5 laps, and we are going to get a good run as Stroll with the DRS. We are going to try to get the slipstream off of Albon, but pretty much as soon as I moved to the back of the Toro Rosso, I figured that was a bad idea. So I just wanted to brake early and just give the Canadian a shallower angle of attack to the chicane, so I could get a better run at him at the exit. And we do manage to make that plan come to reality, and we do manage to climb a position, and we are now up to P13, I believe it is, and now we are hunting down the Toro Rosso of Albon, trying to claim that P12. So lap 20 is where we jump to. As you can see, we approach the hairpin, and I don't know if you guys can see on the video, maybe YouTube compression is screwing this up, but it is raining. We have a few drops of water on the screen already. We are going to get the slipstream and DRS. It's going to be wide open mode for a VRS as well. Rich mix through the long straight, and we are going to get past Albon even before chicane. We make a very good move, but look at that! There are a few cars on the pits, and they are not pitting for intermediates. It's nowhere near the time for intermediates, so that allows us to move to P11. But as we move to lap 23, you can see the difficulties I have in putting the traction down. I've lost loads of time. Grosjean is now catching up to me. He has brand new softs, he pitted for softs, so but he's catching up to me as if there was no water on the track. So we are going to decide to come into the pits, and we are going to switch for a set of intermediates, and we just hopefully we can get the undercut on this lap on the intermediates, because I do expect the AI to come into the pits next lap for the Pirelli Cinturato greens to be put on their cars. So getting the slow run down the pit straight, our crew is patiently waiting for us. Let's see how quick it is. Softs out, intermediates in, a 1.7 second pit stop, not bad at all, I would say. And now, if we manage to jump all the cars that we are undercutting, well, not all the cars, but all the cars that were behind us when we pitted, we are going to rejoin in P11, I would say, with Grosjean behind us. So we're going to get ourselves back on the track, and we are in front of everyone who pitted, I believe. Not everyone who pitted, but everyone who pitted and was behind us, at least for now, as Albon is carrying on a set of dry tires, and I guess the Toro Rosso team didn't want to stack up, even though they did have a gap between their cars, I believe. So I'm not sure what that was about. They could have maybe stacked up their cars, but it is what it is. Albon is going to have to do another lap.
Light rain for another 10 minutes, then we'll see a transition into heavy rain
Okay, so we are going to transition into heavy rain conditions. So this rain, even though we might not get to the heavy rain by the end of the race, it's going to get slightly more intense as time goes on. So that's something to look out for as well, as these tires start to wear out as well. So Albon and I believe that is Ricciardo, they are both very slow, as looks like they are both on the dry compound of tires. Their teams didn't want to do the double stacking, so looks like it's going to be their turn now to come into the pit. So that gets us to P11, and yeah, we did get, if you look at the minimap, it is Ricciardo in the pits, and Hülkenberg is right behind Albon. So those two are still getting to blows. Magnussen 7 seconds away from us, so we need to push. Jumping to the end of lap 30, we are going to get ourselves only 4.8 seconds from Magnussen, so we are pushing, we are catching up to him. And where have we seen this? Late in the race, battling with Magnussen for the last of the points paying positions. Nonetheless, we are going to try our hardest, but this lap hasn't been the greatest. Mistakes into turn 1 and now into turn 4, and we reached the end of it only gaining 1/10. So this really took a knock on our chances to winning, but of course we are never going to give up, are we? We are going to be pushing, and we are going to try to close in on Magnussen. So we are going to follow on board for this lap. As we actually cut a little bit there. I'm just trying to adapt to the braking zones at this point. Not sure yet. This is the first time I'm driving this track on the wet without the racing line, so it forces me to adapt a little bit. I haven't perfected my inputs on the wet conditions. So of course I think I've managed to get away with the higher braking zones, or longer braking zones, because of course the car takes longer to brake now. So I think I have those nailed, but each gear and where to turn for some of the corners, I might turn too early or too late, as it was the case for that hairpin just now. So it is what it is. We are going to keep on pushing though, but we have a word from Jeff.
There's 3 laps of fuel remaining. Magnussen ahead. They're on old Inters. Their tyres are 7 laps old. The time last lap was a 1:22.1. You're gaining by 1/10 a lap.
Yeah, so that last lap we only gained a 10th, unfortunately, so we get confirmation from Jeff. But now for this one, we are bringing the gap down to 3.9, so I believe we gained about, what, 7 seconds? Not seconds, but 7/10 on him, I believe. So we can push, jumping now to the beginning of lap number 35, and I don't think he's close enough. 2.5 seconds, we only gained 4/10 on him since the skip, so unfortunately we aren't catching him at a pace that would allow us to battle him unless he does a mistake. We're going to give it all to this lap. We even have to manage our ERS, because of course you can't put much power down the wheels, or they will start spinning out in some of these corners. Of course we are not running a wet setup, and there you have it. Lewis Hamilton crosses over the line to take a win of the Canadian Grand Prix, and yeah, he's getting on his stride. Hamilton, he is starting to string up some victories, and that's going to really improve his chances of clinching the championship with races to spare. Let's see how it goes. Of course the season is very long, just like the straights we are going to get up to. Maybe we could catch up Magnussen if he has a mistake, but looks like that's going to be unlikely. We're going to try to chase him down the best we can. Maybe he has a penalty, but unfortunately we aren't going to be able to get it. So still, I do find positive things about our performance. We qualified last, which was quite of a bottle job, but nonetheless, last to P11, I'm satisfied with it.
That's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
The Mercedes team pulled out a fantastic performance today. They should be proud. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
It's a heroic effort for any driver to race in conditions like these, and seeing them fight their way to the front was very special indeed. They were able to find all the grip, all the good lines, and have the confidence to get on the power to top it all off. That's what pushed them into first place here today.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
There you have it. Lewis Hamilton takes home the win of the Canadian Grand Prix. Another win for the British driver, as he has Sebastian Vettel and Valtteri Bottas for company on the last step of the podium, with the Ferrari being able to battle with the Mercedes team, as Ferrari gets to split them on the podium. So that is a bit of damage limitation for them, as there we have it, 1-3 for Mercedes, 2-4 for Ferrari, as Max Verstappen gets ahead of Weber. Then we have Gasly, Raikkonen and Magnussen closing the top 10. Devon Butler last to P12, exactly the same amount of positions gained as we did. Nonetheless, Butler gets the driver of the day, and we didn't. So thank you, game, as we get Lewis Hamilton extending the championship lead to 34 points. Don't see any changes, as it is Albon, Grosjean and Russell still the only drivers without a point this season. In terms of the constructors, Mercedes continues to pull away. 85 points is now the difference between first and second, and the Racing Point team jumped past McLaren, as 1 point is the only thing separating the Pink Panthers and the Papaya Orange Woking based team. Moving back home at the end of an exciting race, we are going to get ourselves compared to the rivals. Butler got himself the fastest lap compared to our fastest lap, so he still gets 3 points instead of getting only 2 and we getting 4, so we don't really catch up. 19 to 26, I think he's going to beat us, but we are getting past Russell after he beat us in qualifying, so at least that's a good thing, as we're going to get the performance bonuses and all that, which is nice. We're going to get 800 points, and that is indeed going to allow us to get some upgrades in the R&D section, which is nice as well. So we're going to move into it as we get our debrief and of course our transcripts. But moving to the R&D 3, we're going to take a look at the aerodynamics, and unfortunately we are unable to develop that, but we can start developing in another area. So we are going to get the weight reduction upgrade for France, and hopefully that rear downforce and that weight reduction upgrade are going to get applied to the car, because it's going to be very helpful through the twisty sectors of France, the twisty first and last sectors of France. So it's going to be quite helpful upgrades if they come through. But this is it for today, guys, as we're going to wrap up this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like button. If you did not, the dislike button is as always right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hit the icon for any notifications of whenever we are about to start a live stream or to post a video. Hope to see you guys next time, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.